Everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the SCU show. I'm your host SCU, and we have another great show for you this week. We are so packed on this episode. Might be the longest one we've ever done so far. Episode number 35. This is kind of a milestone, very special stuff. Just wanted to say a quick thank you to everybody that's been paying attention to us, watching us, been listening to us. Our numbers are very good through the first 34 episodes that we've done this stuff. And really, again, just want to thank you all. It's been great. It's really, really nice, really nice. So let's get started. I want to start with to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles because, man, oh man, are the Eagles doing something interesting. That's the way I see it. The Philadelphia Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts in the third round of the draft with the 53rd pick, and oh boy, was I very interested in that pick. I really think it's a very interesting pick because, as you all know, if you know me personally or if you watch the show, or listen to the show, whatever the case is, you know that I'm not that big a fan of Carson Wentz. I don't really like it. And I'm not saying I don't like Carson Wentz. He just always hurt. I don't understand why everyone gives him so much credit when he doesn't deserve it. Like, Carson Wentz has not won a playoff game in his 4 years in the NFL. He's always hurt. The last year, I don't know what the heck that was. He won with nothing. I'll give him props for that. But other than that, he hasn't done anything. He hasn't won a playoff game. He's always hurt. But he had 33 touchdowns. That was a fluke year. I still see it as a fluke year. His first year, he threw 14 picks and has found 9 games as a rookie. Now, of course, then he gets hurt the next year, and then the year after that, he gets hurt, and Nick Foles wins them the Super Bowl, wins MVP, and then the year after that, next year, after they win the Super Bowl, Nick Foles takes over. After Carson Wentz was 5-6 as a starter, and Nick Foles went 6-1 as a starter that season, took the Eagles to the playoffs, won them another playoff game until they finally got eliminated in the division round. Point being that Carson Wentz is not really the answer for the Eagles. I do think that Jalen Hurts might be, though, however, because, again, I say this all the time. Running quarterback is the way of the future. Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, you see all these running quarterbacks in the NFL. Even Aaron Rodgers is a pretty mobile guy himself. Tom Brady's not mobile, okay, that's fine. Drew Brees not mobile, okay, they're both retiring in 2 years anyway. And after that, it's going to be all running quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence is coming next year, running quarterback. Justin Fields, running quarterback. I'm not saying the Eagles are going to move off of Carson Wentz right now. They're not going to. It's not going to happen. I think it should happen. It's not going to. But in the next, maybe 2 years or so, I do think that perhaps, if Carson Wentz gets hurt again this year or next year or whatever the case is, it might be it for him. And if you bring in Jalen Hurts, again, he's a running quarterback, a very talented guy. He took 2 teams to the college football playoff, Oklahoma and Alabama. So what's the problem? And then you just drafted 3 receivers, one of them being Jalen Reagor, a very talented guy of TCU, who's going to also act as a punt or kick returner, depending how the Eagles want to use that. And you got things going for you there in Philadelphia. So I think the future for them does not involve Carson Wentz. At least the next 2 years might involve Carson Wentz. If he doesn't get hurt, he'll be there for the next 2 years. And after that, I think it might be time to move off of him. Go ahead and start Jalen Hurts. See how it works out there. I think it would be very, very interesting. We'll see how it happens, though. I don't know if they're actually going to do it, but wouldn't that be something to see? All right, come on. I would love to see it. Well, so we'll see what happens going down. Hopefully, Carson Wentz can stay healthy, and we'll go from there. But for right now, I think that next 2 years, if he's hurt again, either one, maybe probably both, I think that's time for the Eagles to just move off of him, and you have Jalen Hurts. He's definitely your guy moving forward. All right, let's switch gears here. There's actually two topics here that we'll talk about with Aaron Rodgers, because a lot of talking going on with him. Everybody's thought about how the Packers drafted a quarterback, traded up for Jordan Love and all this. They didn't draft the wide receiver. That's the bigger thing for me. I don't really care if they draft Jordan Love. They didn't draft the receiver. And I've been thinking about this take for quite a while, and I'm finally ready to put it out there. Aaron Rodgers is going to absolutely struggle this year. It's going to be a very bad year for Aaron Rodgers. And everyone's like, oh, no, he's not. Oh, well, come on, you're crazy. Look at the corners that in the NFC North alone, Aaron Rodgers will have to face. In Detroit, Desmond Trufant from the Falcons is there. He's a very talented corner when he's healthy. And they just drafted Jeff Okudah, the top safety in the NFL draft, 3rd overall. That's 2 corners in Detroit that Aaron Rodgers had to throw against twice a year. Not just once a year, twice a year. In Chicago, Jalen Jackson is going to be a very special guy, and so will obviously Eddie Jackson, who just got a new deal. Is it this offseason or the offseason before? By the way, there's another talented duo that Aaron Rodgers will have to go going against. And the Vikings, obviously, they got Jeff Gladney from TCU, talented corner. They're building the defense. They're not rebuilding. Like Colin Cowherd said, they're rebooting. The Vikings are rebooting that defense. They've got a whole bunch of different defensive guys, and Aaron Rodgers has to go up against them. And what does Aaron Rodgers have to work with? Devontae Adams. That's it. And that's why that's such a big problem that the Packers did not draft a wide receiver in the first round. Or actually at all. They drafted a wide receiver. They had like 7 picks, no wide receivers. You needed wide receivers. Aaron Rodgers is now very upset, and we all know that now. And it's just, he's going to have a really bad, it's going to be really, really short, tough year for Aaron Rodgers in 2020. You know, you got, again, Desmond Trufant, Jeff Okudah in Detroit, Jalen Johnson and Eddie Jackson in Chicago. And that's just the NFC North. But I didn't even talk about how they faced the Niners on the road again, who they lost to twice last year by over 30 points. The Saints in New Orleans, one of the best teams in the NFL, and they had to go against Tom Brady and the Bucs down in Tampa. Another great team with Shaquille Barrett on that defense, as well as I believe they still have Ndamukong Suh for another year. It's going to be very, very tough for Aaron Rodgers. It's not his fault. It's not the front office's fault they didn't get him a wide receiver. I'm just saying, though, it's going to be a very tough year for Aaron Rodgers. He's just going to really have a very tough year going up against those teams that he has to go up against. And sticking with Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre went on the Rich Eisen show the other day and talked about how he doesn't believe Aaron Rodgers is going to, finish his career with the Packers, which that's fine. If he doesn't, he doesn't. We all thought Tom Brady was going to finish his career with the Patriots. Obviously not. I bet back in the 80s and 90s, everybody thought Joe Montana was going to finish with the Niners. No, he finished with the Chiefs. Brett Favre, I thought he was going to finish with the Packers. I remember it was my second year watching the NFL. I thought, Brett Favre lost the NFC Championship game to the Giants. The one that won the Super Bowl that year. I thought, Brett Favre's going to, he said he was going to retire. All right, he's retired. So he finished his career as a Packer. No, he came back. He played with the Jets and the Vikings. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. The point is that NFL legends, like these guys, they go places. They finish different places. John Amos finished with the Rams instead of the Jets, where he won the Super Bowl in 1968. So I would not be surprised if Aaron Rodgers finishes his career elsewhere either. But the thing is here that I think that there's only really one team that it would be a really good fit with this team, and that team is the Rams. He already has a home in Malibu. He's dating a celebrity. I mean, come on, it all fits. The whole thing fits with him being in L.A., and I don't think that the Chargers are moving off of Justin Herbert in the next 2 years. By the way, next 2 years. If the Rams think Goff is the starter in the next 2 years, I got a bridge to sell them. Come on, that's not true. I still don't understand why they signed you that 4-year deal. He has 3 left, so in the next 2 years, he'll be on his final deal, and I'll guarantee that he does struggle each of the next 2 years because he's Jared Goff, who went first overall after throwing 6 touchdowns against Air Force, which I still don't get. And they signed him to a $134 million deal because his defense took him to the Super Bowl, and then they scored 3 points on offense. So try and make sense of that. What am I saying? I don't get that. It makes no sense to me. Not at all. But the other way, I don't know if Jordan Love would be the answer in Green Bay in the next 2 years, but Aaron Rodgers might be out of town in the next 2 years. We'll see what happens. And if he is, the Rams would be the perfect destination. All right. Now we get to the nitty-gritty, the good stuff here in this episode of the SCU show. Draft grades. I went through all 32 teams and graded them, by grade. Like, I separated each team by grade. Like, who gets A's, who gets B's, who gets C's, who gets D's, and all that. I can do F's, because F's a little harsh, I think. Sorry, so let's start with the A's. The first A goes to the Miami Dolphins. I think everybody knows that at this point. They got Tua. It was the obvious choice. If they hadn't picked Tua, the world would have gone into chaos. We're already not in chaos in this world. But Tua, great choice, obviously. Franchise quarterback by 2021. He'll sit behind Ryan Fitzpatrick this year, and then they'll go from there. They also got a talented offensive tackle in Austin Jackson from USC. Now, I saw an interesting stat about him. Austin Jackson, in over 1,000 snaps, allowed 11 quarterback hits. It was like 0.04% of his snaps were allowing quarterback hits. How impressive is that? That's crazy. And their 7th round pick, who I was going to talk about, oh, nobody cares about their 7th round pick. Come on, man. Their 7th round pick, Malcolm Berry out of Navy, was a quarterback slash wide receiver. So obviously, he's a very versatile guy, and versatile guys are going to work very well in the NFL. It's happened before. John Jackson, one perfect example. So I think Malcolm Perry will work out in the NFL. They can use him as a quarterback, kind of like a Taysom Hill thing, or they can just use him as a receiver or even a returner. So I think the Dolphins definitely earned an A. Minnesota Vikings get an A. For me, Justin Jefferson could wind up being the 1 or 2, depending on what happens with Adam Thielen. Because we don't know. I don't know if Adam Thielen's going to be the 1 or the 2. Because kind of like with Juju, when Antonio Brown left, you hoped that Juju was going to be the 1. He's not the 1. And we'll get to the Steelers in a moment. But he's not the 1. Justin Jefferson could be that 1, or he could be that 2, depending on Adam Thielen. But either way, Kirk Cousins got himself another receiver. Again, I mentioned they got Jeff Gladney from TCU. He replaces Xavier Rhodes. So it's a good pick there. And I also love the pick of Nathan Stanley. Nathan Stanley out of Iowa, the quarterback out of Iowa. I know everyone's going to be like, oh, who cares? Well, I'm not saying that it could happen, but in 2 years, Kirk Cousins will be at the door again unless they decide to sign him another deal. And I would love to see Nate Stanley take over the Vikings and see what happens from there, especially with Aaron Rodgers potentially leaving. So the Vikings, another A team. Let's see what we got. The Eagles. I know, I'm a former Cowboys fan, but I'm still taking the Eagles get an A. Jalen Hurts, love the pick. I just said start the show. That's their future right there. It's Jalen Hurts. The next couple of years, depending on what happens with Carson Wentz, if he's hurt or not. And then they took 3 receivers, one including Jalen Reagor, who can act as a returner, punt, returner, kick, returner, receiver. He does it all. They also got a couple other talented receivers. Eagles are building for their future, which might not involve Carson Wentz. Hint, hint. We'll see what happens. Dallas Cowboys get an A. CeeDee Lamb's a Rookie of the Year candidate. I don't care. Oh, he can't get separation. He played in the Big 12. He's going to be a very talented receiver. And if you argue that, there's something wrong with you. Because, come on. Have you seen this guy's speed? Even after the catch, he's breaking off defenders and all this other stuff and making moves and dodging tackles and everything. It's amazing what he's done at Oklahoma. And it's going to be amazing what he does in Dallas as well. So stop telling me, oh, you have a Big 12 player. Who cares? It has nothing to do with anything. Tyler, I'm going to butcher this last name. Tyler Biadasz. I don't know how to spell it. It says the center from Wisconsin. He's a great replacement for Travis Frederick, because that's what I've seen from different experts, including Jonah Tolles, who really covers the Cowboys in depth. He makes a lot of mock drafts, and he does a lot of good stuff for the Dallas Cowboys. And he says the perfect replacement for Travis Frederick is Tyler Biadasz. Either way, a good pick for the Cowboys. And they got 2 talented corners, but of course, Byron Jones is gone. That's pretty sad and all that, but they got Trayvon Diggs and Reggie Robinson II. So, that secondary is going to be pretty good if these 2 work out well. And they also got a talented defensive tackle in Neville Gallimore from Oklahoma. Another pass rusher. Who knows? He could be the next Robert Quinn. That's what the Cowboys fans are hoping for. Cowboys get an A. And the final A, if I'm not mistaken here, is the Ravens. Actually, yeah, the Ravens. My best friend, is a Ravens fan, so he'll be happy to hear this. The Baltimore Ravens might have gotten the steal of the draft this year. This pick is amazing. The 6th-round pick out of SMU. His name is James Porche, Porche. This is the steal of the draft. And, of course, the Ravens go and got him. Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, and now he goes to the reigning MVP, Lamar Jackson. And I'll talk about the Ravens next week. But the Ravens really need this. Something like this. Obviously, Hollywood Brown got hurt most of the year last year. Lamar Jackson only threw 36 touchdowns, which I didn't really like. That he won MVP after throwing 36 touchdowns. I don't think that's MVP worthy. And now he gets the guy who just had back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving seasons. So, James Porche, I think, is the steal of the draft. And I'm very excited to go see him live in action, should there be an NFL season. They also got J.K. Robbins. I like that. J.K. Robbins kind of reminds me of Ezekiel Elliott. He's a smaller running back from Ohio State. He's a fast guy. And him and Mark Ingram's going to be a really nice 1-2 punch down there. It's going to be very, very good thing going on down there in Baltimore. And they got Patrick Queen, the second best linebacker behind Kenneth Murray in the draft. So they spiked up that defense a little bit with Calais Campbell. Now they got Patrick Queen. It'll be very interesting. Oh, by the way, I have a few more. I was wrong. Another A is the Indianapolis Colts. I think they had the best draft of all. I think the Colts killed this draft. Absolutely killed it. They got their future quarterback Jacob Eason in the 4th round. And I was talking about how Chris Ballard said, "Don't calm down. We got him in the 4th round." Philip Rivers is there 1 year. What are you going to do? Get another quarterback next year? That's not going to happen. Jacob Eason's your guy in 2021. Got a talented running back, Jonathan Taylor. I love Jonathan Taylor. I liked him for the last 3 years at Wisconsin, and I can't wait to see what he does in the NFL. Michael Pittman Jr. is a sleeper guy, apparently. I've heard so much about this guy, and I watched him film. He's a very fast guy. He can get open. He's a very talented receiver, and he might be the Colts' #1 receiver now, with T.Y. Hilton always hurt. We'll see what happens there. Either way, Michael Pittman's going to do something really special down there. And Justin Blackman, the cornerback from Utah. They spice up their defense a little bit. They're going to need to go against Sean Watson twice a year. So there's that. The LA Chargers get an A. Or have a great team, and then they just added Justin Herbert and Kenneth Murray. There's not really much to say about that. You see what the team they have around them. Austin Eckler, Hunter Henry, Keenan Allen. Talent. That's all the Chargers have is talent. And they just added 2 more pieces. Great draft by the Chargers. The 49ers had a really nice draft. I like the pick of defensive tackle Javon Kinlaw from South Carolina. I had him going 32nd to the Chiefs in my mock draft. The Niners traded up to go get him. No, they had a pick from the Colts, and they took him at 13. Very interesting. I'm really looking forward to see what happens there. And they also got Jawan Jennings from Tennessee. Oh, Brandon Ayuk. I forgot to mention Brandon Ayuk from Baylor. He's going to be a really nice addition, especially with him just losing Emmanuel Sanders to the Saints. And, yeah, that's going to be very interesting. As well as, like I said, Jawan Jennings from Tennessee is going to be an interesting one as well. And with that, those are the A's. My A grades for the 2020 NFL Draft. Let's get to the B's now, shall we? Buffalo, of course. Yeah, how ironic is this? The first B, the Buffalo Bills. Zach Moss, I think, is a really nice running back out of Utah. I do like the pick. I think him, Devin Singletary, not Tevin. Devin Singletary, will be a nice 1-2 punch. And I was going to hear my friends hate this. Jake Fromm is he'll probably be back up to Josh Allen. But if Josh Allen struggles this year, don't be surprised at all if Jake Fromm comes in at some point to the Bills and starts for them at quarterback. Don't be surprised if Josh Allen struggles, which I assume Josh Allen's going to struggle because he's Josh Allen. He had a nice year last year, but even that was not even a good enough year to me. This is, of course, my opinion, of course. So we'll see what happens there. AJ Epineza, also a great pick. One of the top defensive ends in the draft out of Iowa. He'll be a great pass rusher. Bengals get a B. I don't know why I gave him B. I should have given him a C. Don't really care for Joe Burrow, but of course I got to give credit to Joe Burrow. 60 touchdowns at LSU last year, blah, 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 blah. And he got a really talented receiver, T. Higgins, out of Clemson. That's why I'm giving them the B. Because it's T. Higgins, out of Clemson. And they got him a steal. They got him the first pick of the 2nd round, 33rd overall. Great pick for the Bengals. Him and Joe Burrow. It's going to be very interesting stuff there. Can't wait to see how that works out. The Steelers get a B. Can Chase Claypool be that one? I mentioned it earlier. We talked about, Juju Smith-Schuster. Is he the one? Right now? No, he's not the one. James Washington, not a one. I don't think he's ever going to be a one. I would like him to be a one, but he's not a one. So now it's Chase Claypool's turn. Is he the one? Is he a one? Is he going to be a one for Big Ben? We shall see. I'm hoping so, obviously. Jaguars get a B. Oh, God. And, again, I'm not singling anybody out. I talked to my friends, Quentin Smalls, Derek Dean, Eric Watkins, my guys inside the arena. You guys are Jaguars fans. I'm not calling you out. I'm calling the Jaguars fan base out as a whole. Why are they always complaining about everything? I mean, I guess I understand why they complain about everything, but this pick here, C.J. Henderson, 9th pick, stop complaining about it. That is the pick for the Jaguars. That is going to be an amazing guy. He's going to be very talented, very great replacement for A.J. Bouye, and I think it's going to work out very well for him. I think Kayvon Chason, 20th pick, outside linebacker from LSU, is also a great pick. I do like that one. And the one that I'm really looking forward to when it comes to the Jaguars is the 5th round pick out of Texas, wide receiver Colin Johnson. Very interested in him. I think he'll be a great receiver if he does get the chance to start in Jacksonville. It'll help Minshew out. I definitely believe that for sure. The Denver Broncos get a B. They got 2 receivers. They got KJ Hamler from Penn State, and of course the top receiver in the draft in Jerry Jeudy. And they also got Drew Lock's former tight end. Man, Drew Lock needs all the help he can get. He showed us something last year, but now this is the time to show us, was that a fluke? Those 5 games or 6 games he started, was that a fluke? Or is Drew Lock something special? We're about to find out. The Las Vegas Raiders. They got Henry Ruggs, the first wide receiver taken off the board, which kind of surprised everybody. Nobody thought that he would go first, but he went first. That's fine. Henry Ruggs is going to be a special talent out of Alabama. They got Lynn Bowden from Kentucky, a versatile guy. Also could play quarterback, receiver, kick returner, kind of like Malcolm Perry down in Miami. Brian Edwards from South Carolina. I've heard a lot about him. People were saying he should go higher in the draft than he went. But, a lot of praise, so I'm looking forward to see that. So now the Raiders, the Raiders have a stacked receiving core. They have Nelson Aguilar, Jason Witten, your tight end. Now you have Henry Ruggs, Lynn Bowden, and you have Brian Edwards from South Carolina. Wow, the Raiders are going to do something special this year. That's going to be very interesting. The Lions get a B. Okuda replaces Jerry Slay, I do like that pick. DeAndre Swift will do well. I think he'll take over Kerryon Johnson. I'm sure they'll have a 1-2 punch thing down in Detroit, or up there in Detroit, but eventually I think the Lions just go with DeAndre Swift as their starting running back. The Bucks get a B. Tom Brady will have that protection with Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa, one of the top offensive linemen. They traded up 1 pick to take him, so that was interesting. So they must have really liked him. And they also got a talented receiver. I think it's a talented receiver in Tyler Johnson from Minnesota. So that's why I'm giving the Bucks a B as well. And then that wraps up the Bs for the 2020 NFL Draft. All right, so opposite B is C. Let's get to the C's. And this is a long one. This is a very long one. It took me a long time to write this. The first C is the Carolina Panthers. All 7 picks were used on defense, so that's cool. Matt Rule's probably a defensive coach. I didn't really pay much attention to Baylor, but we'll see what happens there. But they probably could use some help at wide receiver. They do have Curtis Samuel. They just got Robbie Anderson. But maybe you got another guy in the 6th or 7th round. Maybe, just maybe. Whatever, it's okay. The Panthers get a C, though. The Rams get a C. I love the pick of Cam Akers. Cam Akers is going to be a stud in the NFL, no matter how you put it. I don't care. I know a lot of people like Cam Akers. I love Cam Akers. It's going to be a great pick. That's going to be a great run game down there in LA. I also like to see what happens with Van Jefferson, the receiver out of Florida, because obviously I don't think they have a top receiver right now. They got where Brandon Cooks is gone. They do have a few guys that are pretty good. I can't think of any names right now, just off the top of my head, but they have some good receivers. And now Van Jefferson's out there from out of Florida. So we'll see what happens in LA. I think it'd be very interesting. The New York Jets, they continue to show what a dumpster fire they are, but I could not give them a D because they did something interesting. They did take a questionable all-lineman, Mekhi Benton from Louisville. I didn't understand that pick. You need a receiver to help Sam Darnold, but you take an all-lineman who's kind of always hurt. Questionable. Just a little bit questionable. I didn't understand that. But they did get Denzel Mims out of Baylor. That's a very interesting pick. Now, Sam Darnold has a number 1 receiver, again. I don't understand why they get rid of Robbie Anderson. That made no sense to me. And they also might have gotten, people are going to hate me for this, they also might have gotten a replacement for Sam Darnold in James Morgan out of FIU. Now, I'm not a Cowboys fan, but I had seen projected mock drafts have James Morgan go to the Dallas Cowboys. Man, that would have been nice. I just really think that would have been nice. But I think the Jets deserve more because I think, they won't. The Jets they will not give up on Sam Darnold. I think they should. And I think James Morgan will eventually start for him. Maybe this year. Either this year or next year. Not wait 2 years for Sam Darnold. It's either this year or next year for him. The Browns get a B. The Browns get a C. The talented lineman Jedrick Willis out of Alabama, the 10th pick. I think that was a little high. I wouldn't have picked him 10th overall. But it was still a nice pick. They need offensive linemen. And again, I've said there's no excuse for Baker Mayfield. They have 2 tight ends. Which, by the way, they drafted another one. I don't understand why they did that. They have Austin Hooper. They have David Njoku. You have OBJ, you have Jarvis Landry, you got the run game. Everything's there for the Browns. No excuse for Baker. I'm also a big fan of the Donovan Peoples-Jones pick, the receiver out of Michigan. That's a great pick. I hope it works out for him up there in Cleveland. The Titans get a C. The only reason I give the Titans a C is because I love the pick of the quarterback in the 6th or 7th round, Luke McDonald out of Hawaii. He threw over 8,000 yards and 69 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons at Hawaii. And yet the Titans gave Ryan Tannehill a 4-year deal after Derrick Henry had another 1,000-yard year. Yeah. So I give it 2 years with the Titans. They give up on Ryan Tannehill, and hopefully, perhaps, you have Luke McDonald as your starting quarterback in Tennessee. That would be nice, wouldn't it? I think so. The Chiefs get a C. I like the pick of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, or whatever the last name is, out of LSU, the running back. I think I like it. The Chiefs were 28th in the league in rushing yards per play last year. 28th! And that's with Patrick Mahomes running the ball, too. I would talk about Damon Williams should have won MVP. Okay, maybe. But he was not the best running back last year either. He didn't do too well in the regular season. So I think this is a very nice pick. I think but really, it doesn't really matter. Everyone's complaining about what a bad draft the Chiefs had. They just won the Super Bowl. Who the hell cares what kind of draft they have? It doesn't matter. If it's not broke, don't fix it. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Who cares? The G-Men. The New York Giants get a C in my book. I'm surprised they didn't take Isaiah Simmons at number 4. I thought, they need the defense, right? They need a guy on defense. But they did get Andrew Thomas, one of the better offensive linemen in the draft, out of Georgia at 4. Okay, that's fine. Give Daniel Jones some protection. Give him some time to find his receivers. Who, by the way, the Giants have some talented receivers. Darius Slayton and all of them out there in New York. I also like the Xavier McKinney pick, the 20. I believe they picked him in the second, maybe the first. Either way, I like that pick for them. I think it's going to help their defense, which obviously needs some help. So we'll see what happens there. The Redskins get a C. Chase Young, obviously, great. That's a cool pick. Number 2, you get help on the defense, Ryan Kerrigan and all that. And then also, another interesting pick for me was Antonio Gandy Golden out of Liberty. They kind of need another receiver. They had Terry McLaughlin. They just got rid of Jordan Reed. He's gone. And they have the Mr. Irrelevant Trace Sims, I think his name was, from SMU. I haven't seen much from him yet, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. The New Orleans Saints get a C. They didn't need to do much, and I'll talk about this to end the show, but why in God's name did they draft another quarterback? They drafted Tommy Stevens out of Mississippi State in the 7th round. What was the point of drafting a quarterback? You already have 3. We'll get to that at the end of the show, though. And that wraps up the C's for the 2020 NFL Draft. All right, final group here, the D's. And unfortunately, I don't really like doing this, but the first D is the Seattle Seahawks. They took a linebacker with their first pick. They had Bobby Wagner, who led the league in tackles last year. So what was the point of them taking a linebacker? What was the point? I didn't understand. And they took B.J. Dallas. No offense to B.J. Dallas out of Miami. It's probably a talented running back. I've seen some film. He's pretty good. The Seahawks have 6 running backs. Why did they take a 7th? And plus, they have Russell Wilson, who's pretty much a second running back himself. He runs the ball about as much as he passes the ball. So I didn't understand why they had to take another running back. They already have 5 already. All of them got hurt last year. I understand that. But it's going to be a lot of cutting now, I think, if they want to keep B.J. Dallas. Oh, obviously, the Packers obviously get a D. I mean, they drafted Jordan Love, who was probably, I think he was my 7th ranked quarterback of the top 7 quarterbacks. He was the last one. And the Packers traded up to get him. And of course, they obviously didn't get a wide receiver. So Aaron Rodgers again, going up against those corners in Detroit, Chicago, and that defense in Minnesota, has Devontae Adams to work with. Good luck, Aaron Rodgers. Good luck. The Arizona Cardinals get a D because they had a really crappy draft. They threw off the Simmons pick. Isaiah Simmons. I was like, why would they take him with their first pick? That made no sense at all to me. I did not understand that. But they made up for it. They did get Josh Jones, who I think is the best offensive lineman in the draft. They took him. I'm very happy with that. Kyler Murray now has very good protection, has much more time, and he has like 6 receivers to throw to. So it was a good, but I don't understand why they took Simmons, their first pick. That makes no sense. The Patriots. Oh boy, here's an interesting thing. Everyone talks about the Packers that drafted a receiver. Neither did the Patriots. The Patriots did not draft a wide receiver in the draft. Now they have Julian Edelman. Gronk is gone. He was gone last year, but he's definitely gone. He's not in New England anymore. And then you have Jared Stidham, who's a second-year guy. Nobody knows anything. And Brian Hoyer, who's a decent backup. As a starter, he's not taking it anywhere, really. And, you need wide receivers to at least help you out a little bit. No, did not draft any wide receivers. And so the Patriots get a D. The Texans get a D. They obviously, like the Seahawks, and the Cardinals, they need offensive line help. They drafted one offensive lineman. I don't even have his name. They drafted one offensive lineman. Good luck to Sean Watson. They just got rid of receiver. They gave you one offensive lineman. Good luck to you there. The Bears get a D. They drafted the tight end with their first pick. They have Jimmy Graham. What are you doing? I mean, Cole Kmet out of Notre Dame. He's one of the best tight ends in the drafts. And maybe he could be the guy, but they have Jimmy Graham. Come on. The only really interesting pick from the Bears is 5th-round pick Darnell Mooney out of Tulane. I think it's going to be a very interesting wide receiver. By the way, the Bears just signed Ted Ginn. So Darnell Mooney is probably going to be a 2 if he starts. Maybe interesting, but I just didn't think the Bears had a great draft at all. And finally, the Atlanta Falcons get a D. And, they didn't really pick many interesting guys, but when it comes to the Falcons, who cares? They have 10 former first-round picks on that roster right now. 10 former first-round picks. So really, it doesn't matter how they did in the draft, but the fact is they had a bad draft. Therefore, they get a D. And that is the end of the Ds and the end of my grades for the 2020 NFL Draft. Let me know what you think. All right, so wraps the show here. Let's talk about these Saints, man. What the heck was this? What is with the Saints, man? A few months ago, they were talking about how Taysom Hill was going to be their guy when Drew Brees retired in 2 years. He is our guy, and everybody complains about he completed 7 passes to nobody in his career. Okay, I think Taysom Hill could start, and I don't care that he only completed 7 passes in his career. Aaron Rodgers threw 36 passes perhaps in 3 years before taking over for Brett Favre. Look at Aaron Rodgers now. Let's cut the crap, huh? Taysom Hill could be their guy. They want him to be their guy. They just signed him to a 2-year deal. But it's like you're playing tricks on Taysom Hill's mind if you're the Saints. You signed Jameis Winston. What was the point of that? I don't think he's a good fit in New Orleans. He's going to be a third stringer probably behind Taysom Hill because Hill's been there longer. And then again, like I said earlier, you drafted a quarterback in the 7th round, Tommy Stevens. What was the point of that? What was the point of drafting a quarterback? What was the point of drafting a quarterback? You have 3 already, one of which you don't even need because Jameis Winston would have done better elsewhere, like in Pittsburgh, like I said, maybe even Jacksonville. I don't get the Saints, and I feel like they're doing Taysom Hill wrong. Like, obviously, they gave him the 2-year deal. What was the point? Then why would you sign, Jameis Winston? Why would you draft Tommy Stevens? Made no sense to me. I don't get it. I just, just head scratching, really. Absolutely head scratching move by the Saints. I don't know if Tommy Stevens will see the field. We'll see. I don't know if Jameis Winston will see the field. But I feel like they just did Taysom Hill really, really wrong. And with that, we're done. The longest show so far. We'll have, obviously, in the future, we'll have some guests once I get things figured out with our technological stuff and all that. But this is fun. I had fun grading every team's draft by grades. That was fun. I think Aaron Rodgers, one of my favorite rants was the whole thing with Aaron Rodgers struggling. Perhaps, that's it. So, yeah, that's it, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. This has been another episode of the SCU Show.